Hello, and good evening. My name is Black Hat Aja, and welcome to my stream. So the last time I started playing Yakuza Kiwami 2, and today we're just continuing on. Yeah, so we were in Sotenbori, I think. So yeah, going to do side quests, maybe some main quests. So yeah, we're going to see about that. How I'm going to do that. So yeah, let's go. Where is it? So we finally met our main guy to defeat. Definitely, he's the guy. He wants to get rid of us. I mean, Kiryu. Right. Sega. Okay, continue obviously. Was this one? Yeah, it looks like it. So yeah, there were some. I think they were exploding the. They were like. What they were doing? What I wanted to tell actually. They put a bomb in some building in the. The names are bad. Alright, so we have a photo shoot here. Let's go here. Can I go past them? Uh-oh. They noticed me. Ah. Nope. It's actually surprising how seamless it is. That's not you? Perfect. I think that's the song that he was. Dame, dame. I think it is. There we go. What was that? Hey, why are you standing at your knife like that? Oh, hello there. I was just talking the thought, trying to come with some new beef dish for my customer. Not a bad idea. Everyone loves beef. Oh yeah, exactly. But you know what's holding me back? This knife. I need a new one. I just haven't found the right fit. Hair craftsman. It's the tools. Yes, a carpenter needs a hammer, right needs a pen, and a chef needs a knife. We can't even think without them. Obviously. I understand. You never make a perfect dish if you can't trust your knife. You have to see the side of it. Hey, you seem like a stand-up guy. Would you come across any knife? Would you mind bringing them by? Oh, the type of the knives I find aren't usually the ones you would with. I wouldn't know if the first thing about a good knife. That's fine. What comes down to intuition? It feels right. You can work with it. A knife should be made out from the highest grade steel in the world, but it doesn't mean a thing doesn't feel right. True that. On the other hand, a humble alloy kitchen blade can be a chef's greatest asset as long as it fits his style. I see. I will do what I can to help. Thank you very much. Come back if you find something. Oh, write it down. So we have one here. Let's go up there. Let's see. I love you, my sweet princess. Okay. This is revising exactly is in yours. Got you. Okay. I guess he's this, yes. And nose for music. I can even carry a tune without no stuff like this. Do you have a cold or something? Nah, I'm fine. Could use a tissue though. Tissues, huh? Don't have any on you right now. Stay healthy, okay. I heard something. Oh, hello. Is there another one? Ah, here. Cool. Could be the convenience storage. There mostly food stuff here. There's one or two up there. Sorry. Sorry. Ah, come on. Ooh, nice. Hey, some yen. That's good. Okay, let's go into this. What? Oh, okay, that's for store. Guess I don't want my money. Just a second to check something. Okay. Ah, we got to the cab. No. Taxi. You're starting to look more confident. Second night and day compared to the first time. Thank you very much, sir. I managed to notice my improvement too. He even gave me a raise, and now I am changed to restocking with sus. Oh wow, that's great. And so thanks to you, sir. Me? Yes. And you said that there's nothing to worry about. That calm, cool voice you have. I felt like a huge weight was lifted out of my shoulders. Ah, that I could help. You have You did more than half, you saved my job. So if you have any trouble having makeup without enough hot sauce to spice things up. He's my ally now. No knives here, so... Okay. Ooh, we have something here. Zero plate, okay. Where's that? Is it here? Is this a convenience store or a canopy? This looks like a food stuff, not like regular store. And that is disappointing. Okay, another one is here. That is drugs. That is another popo thing. Ah, pawn shop. Ooh. Let's check at if there's something at the pawn shop.
Yeah.
We'll go back, just wait for a bit. Something on the floor here? Another locker thingy. It's good. Something else. Hey Chicago, welcome. How are you doing, man? How are you on vacation? Hello there. First pawn shop. Butcher's knife. 40,000. Holy. That looks like a really expensive. Unless I sell all the stuff. Ooh, let's check. Oh, you're back. You go, okay, ah, okay. Stomach is better. I mean, it was good, but I was just like, you know, how to say? I was hangover for 2 days. I'm thinking like, oh, we have a great house. Nose means no.
Yeah.
So I think I'll pass. I think it says it's Eric. Kazuki. Yeah, give our little offer any more? 30,000 times no. Come on, we paid twice as much as making this dump. Sorry, but this dump is where I belong. You can wave casual around, you're blue in the face, then living. In the championship, you're offering baby. You've been making millions doing fuck all, and you still want to turn us down. Damn right. Ain't going to do matter how many times you ask. Maybe you will change your tune back in the office. Come on, Soja. You're coming with us. Why I can't just leave me alone? Those guys are really overstaying their bounds. What should I do? Help the Baker? Hey, because it's not. No. Who we have here, old man? I guess he wouldn't be talking like that if you didn't. Come on, let's get inside. Don't ignore us, you winky piece of shit. Sounds like you're going to teach you a few things in software. Okay. Miss that one. Ah, damn it. Just a second. Ouch. There we go. Yeah, I really want just beer next time. I'm not, as I told many times, I'm not for champagne or wine or whatever. It's just not. It's already 2 times happened, and yeah, it's proven. Just a regular who wants to tuck his best girl in, please stop harassing her. Or stay away. Yeah, stay away, you assholes. We really didn't do that, but we did anyway. That was amazing. I don't think he will be bothering you anymore. Thanks again. What's in your name? You. Repair Kiryu-san, just you wait. Max Barker is whatever. Yay, if you're ever in trouble, you know how to hit the guy where it hurts. Okay. Yeah, of course, Bilamoka is also good. Hello. Smoker Bar, Casino, Nahara, Ocean, whatever, pawn shop in there. Don't quit, what that's called. Okay, the stalkers. I don't know how can I actually handle. I mean, I do drink like silver champagne, but that is mostly at the end of the day, not at the start. Guess you're helping. Oof. That was lame, man. Thank you so much. Purple bun. Thank you. Also, like, I'm playing this game at lower resolution, if you're going to notice. I just can't. I can't play it in 2K, I can only play in 180 and 1080. Here are the lockers. Ah, hello. So we're just mostly boosters. dress. So, okay. The slide. Stamina well. The samlet. Let's check what they have. Equipment. That gives me some defense, but this is more defense. Oops. There we go. Let's do that. I think that I will need to do that later on. Okay. I've got some stuff. Not that anymore. Have to bring this guy tissue back. Okay, yeah. Mystery book that boosts your technique XP by so many issues. Issue with the tissue. I'm cleared up. Just smell that rancid something boring air. Lol. You're really sounding much better. Yeah, because of you, big guy. You ever need a song, my guitar is yours. Another ally. I have no clue what is about these allies. Now where is that? Oh, it's down there. For the next side quest. No. I can go there. Said they were looking for a new knife. Right, I have one for you. Wait, you actually found something? I was swore that we never made a big dish. Can't promise you really like it, but here it is. Well, incredible. It's like an hour of fire burning. It's so hot that it turns blue, getting tense just holding it. It's superior to anything I ever had. Where did you get this one, if you don't mind asking? Actually, I bet you don't know. Well, alright, thank you again. It's truly wonderful. Now I should have no problem finishing that beef dish I was trying to plan. I'll be here. I'll be the first to try it, of course. And if you're in any trouble, got more produce that I can use, so count on me. Okay. Is this area one? I think it is. I'll go back to this guy. Hello. Didn't notice that one, or I forgot to pick it up. Here. Another one there. Ah, crap. Okay, thanks. Bastard. Noise.
しばらく寝てろ。
0%. Oh, I thought it was something else. Oh, it was. Oh, there's something there. Another locker. Another locker. Locker here? Yes. I think it's a bit easier to find stuff here. Although probably will not notice everything at first glance. Okay, good, they didn't notice me. Okay, they did notice me. Damn it. Now this is the Yakuza. Ouch. Nice. Just getting money. Nice.
しばらく寝てろ。
Okay. Yes. Now they're afraid of me. Ah, come on. Only you two are here? Getting some tomes? Oh, that is just like this, give you those points. Okay. Didn't went down here. Oh, here. do? That's I can check here. Oh, no side quest. What? I didn't notice this one here. Increase this one. Okay. Ah, ain't going to find it now. Oof. The hip is feeling more knotted than a noodle bowl. Hey, 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 hey. You there. Mother's love, obviously. You're talking to me? Got that? Right, Buster. Granny got something that she needs to do, yeah. Don't question your elders, Sonny. There's an old lady's in trouble. They're just gonna pass on by. Ooh, ouch. Ugh. She's faking, come on. My ulcer's flaring up. Such agonizing pain. I'm about to fall right over. Ooh, I think that she's maybe appendix. But I thought Doc sliced mine out years ago. Can those grow back? Or maybe it's just my appendix. Ghost. Yeah, I think I'm dying here. and anyone around could help say, Jesus Christ. Why are these sentences done like in this way? God damn it, it's every Yakuza game. That is triggering my freaking dyslexia so hard, man. Yeah, tragedy. Yuriko, young cut down Hammons, blah blah blah, died alone screaming. I'm going towards the light. Oh, I can swear. I can hear the ages. When there is a muscle man, you seem to pull save me. I get it, okay, just keep it down. Oh, lovely. Yeah, kindly son. How he's kind if he's forced into? I dropped something really important. There's something around the river. Can you help me find it? Have a look. Alright, grab it. Drop Amra down by the river. Bring it back to me. Fine. I think I didn't found it yet. Locker. That is some amulet, but I'm not sure if it's the right one. Another locker. Oh, that's that. That is the right thing. Found an average that is in Patrick, I found it. She's this amulet was a way to keeping me safe when I was on the road, making sure they didn't run the red light because car accident. Okay, sounds like a considerate kid. Yeah, and Rock, boy was a damn good son. Always took the out for me. But he's gone now. Gone when I can't reach him. I have cherished this amulet before and ever since the day he moved on. Helped me feel he's still watching for me, you know. Sorry for us. Life is a bit changed. Lady! Your language! One day you'll be having family. You are having family. The next day your food moves to France. I mean, France, come on. What? He said he's following the dream. He's to be pastry chef on the streets of Paris. Got nothing against pastry chef, mind you. I just can't see what he wanted planning and move halfway around. Might do it if you ask. Lol. Been years I have seen less, but he always manages to meander home after a spare. By the way, What could the child call us, Sonny? My name is Keith. Well, you're in luck, Casino. All the time. All this pent-up motherly affection left over Nabeyaki's gonna go somewhere. I'm gonna have to watch over you like my own son. What? Oh man, I don't need to be watched over. Oh, that don't be shy. Who else is going to thank for having me around? Sucker press guns, so if there need a pot full steaming home cooking granny will be there in a fresh capia. Kakun! Oh Jesus Christ. Kakun, you know, like a Zuma-kun, but shorter. Adorable, ain't it? No! Oh, gonna chat. There's a sailor gonna catch full run out. But not. She's a living, breathtaking hurricane. But I think I would take a hurricane to sucker granny. She's my ally now. No. Don't go near me. You don't see me. Sorry. More locker key. Okay, I actually found a lot of locker keys. Sorry. Metal gloves. Sacrifice stone. Blackjack son. Gold plate. Luis, that's money. Toughness. There's like only a couple of them. But good plan. Better. Revives you upon death and shatters. Got this one. Replace that. Okay. Have a lot of good defense. Modded stove. Burner, okay. I think I can go whatever, go back to what is that place? Back to Hope. Hey, another locker. To make sure. That's it. Ready to go? Yeah, set. Let's go. Alright, there's no turning back now. Yeah, this is it. Let's roll then. Got all of the allies.
Keijiさん、わしゃ肩着を脅かすようなことはしまへんで。なんかの間違いとちゃいますか？
喫茶店で小島不動産の社長に会った時テーブルを叩いたそうやないか。
Sack up pressure. That's fine.
叩いたうちに入れまへんがな。ちょっとこうやってポーンとやっただけですわ。
立派な恐喝罪や。
冗談やないで。そないなことでいちいち引っ張られとったらわしら飯食うていきまへんがな。
しょうもない大門ちらつかせられれば一般市民はそれだけで怯えるもんや。
しょうもない大門やと。女やと思っておとなしいしとったら図に乗りやがって。
何が人気や。
何さらすんや。
ヤクザやったらこそこそしのぎせんと体張って稼がんかい。連行や。恐喝傷害脱税署で徹底的にあぶり出したるわ。
何さらすんじゃこのボケ。
公務執行妨害のおまけ付きや。
She is the bitch.
オウム連合と登場会が杯交わせた。
私たちが掴んだ情報では、
ほんで天下の警視庁班は不敬に何せ言うんでっか。
桐生の身柄を確保していただきたい。もし杯の話がこじれて桐生が殺されでもしたら泥沼の抗争になるのは間違いありませんから。
つまりわしら警察がヤクザの身辺保護をせえちゅうことでんな。
ええ、とにかく時間がありませんのでよろしくお願いします。
Pressure is cheap. This is Kartonov quits the pub.
脱しやがって。
課長、誰からですか。
ああ、警視庁の4課長からや。
ヤクザの身辺保護とはどういうことなんですか。
桐生一馬が関西に乗り込んできたんやと。
桐生って
ああ、せや登場会の4代目や。あいつにこっちで死なれでもしたら西と東の大戦争や。せやからわしらに身辺保護をせいちゅうとんねや。アホらしい。
その任務私にやらせてください。
あかんあかん。お前に任せたら身辺保護どころやないわ。
チャンスやと思いませんか。
チャンス？
桐生一馬の命を守る、その名目さえあれば私が関東で捜査しても問題ないということですよね。
なんじゃい。お前の狙いは関東に乗り込んで府警四課の力を見せつけて警視庁を見返してやろっちゅうてのか。
展開によっては総動員体制も取れます。
これはおもろいな。差し詰め府警四課の関東進出やな。
じゃあ私に。
おいちょっと待てや。お前登場会にこだわっとるんと違うやろな。
違います。私は府警四課の主任として言ってるまでです。
ほんまやな。
はい。
Who is she?
分かった。ほな一丁行ってこいや。
はい。
Is she that blind girl? No, she's not.
昨日の爆発、風間組の事務所は粉々に吹っ飛んだそうだが、柏木組長は無事だそうだ。
そうか。
近江連合の仕業じゃねえだろうな。
おそらく合田隆二だ。
ええ。
ああ、昨日蒼天堀であった。
本当か。
お待ちしておりました。
行くぞ。
ああ。
ご苦労様です。ご苦労様です。
What a welcoming party. They should be on the top of the floor. Let's heads up. Head up. I guess we will be fighting. We've only seen gas out from outside the organization very often. Right. Apologize, sir. This elevator is reserved for chairman practice. Okay, I guess we're going around. Oops, sorry for that plant though. I guess we'll be fighting back. No, here. The red speed effects meant to be slowed down for intruders? Maybe. Looks very complex. Obviously we're going to fight on. Okay. Straight into the backside.
遠方からようこそお越しくださいました。五代目近江連合会長の合田仁と申します。桐生四代目の噂は金がねえ。
ご丁寧な挨拶痛み入ります。東上会四代目桐生一馬です。
堅苦しい挨拶は終わりにして近江連合の執行部を紹介しましょう。私の横におるんが総本部長の高島です。本部長やった寺田の後任となります。
よろしくお願いします。
寺田の。
ええ、寺田。いや、東上会五代目とは兄弟分でした。この度は誠に残念でした。
次に。
ちょっと待った。おい、そこのあんた、今なんて言った？残念だと。何寝ぼけたこと言ってんだ。お前らがやったんだろうが。
寺田を殺したのは確かに近江の系列です。ですが本家の命令ではありません。
ふざけんな。そんな言い逃れが通用するか。
ギャーギャー騒ぐなや兄ちゃん。
ああ、
ええか、こういう会合には核っちゅうもんがあるんや。兄ちゃんみたいな人間が来るとこちゃうんや。せやろ、東条の四代目藩。やめろ戦国、失礼だろ。
すみません、こちらが無礼をいたしました。
寺田の一件に関してはほんまに申し訳ない。上座からですがお詫び申し上げます。
ちょっと待った。謝る必要なんてあらへん。もともと寺田はうちの人間やったんや。組織を裏切った人間、夜行が二葉がこっちの勝手でしてる。戦国、
臭い芝居はやめろ。
は
あ？あんたら全員本当に悪いと思ってんのか？五田さんよ。あんた1年前寺田の背後で政治家の神宮とつるんで東上会乗っ取ろうとしたじゃねえか。知らねえとは言わせねえぞ。
確かに。ですがあれは私や執行部の仕業ではありまへん。
なんだと？今さら何言ってんだ？
桐生さん、堂島さん、合田の口からは申し上げにくい話なので私の方から説明いたします。実は1年前の神宮との件は直参合流会会長が独断で行ったことなんです。
何？
龍二が。
龍二をご存知でしたか？彼は親父の実子です。 親の心こしらずとはこのことで、奴は近江の大門を使って勝手な行動を次々。寺田襲撃を実行したのも合流会によるものかと思います。
では龍二が寺田殺しを命令したと？
おそらくは。
アホらしい。やっとらんよ。
戦国。
まあ、あとは勝手にやっとくんなはれ。寺田の香典が必要やったら声かけてくださいや。10億でも20億でも用意しますさかい。ほな。
He is rude, yeah, obviously.
桐生さん、これが近江連合の現状です。直参120、構成員3万5000。
That's odd.
巨大になりすぎた組織を統制するのは至難の業です。
5代目。
この高島は若うて器量もある。寺田もそうやった。ですがね、今の戦国や龍二のように他の若い連中は言うことを聞かへん。
郷田さん、
桐生さん、寺田を失うたんは東条近江関係なく痛いことや。今こそ東と西の力を均衡させることで争いの種を取り除きたいと私は思ってる。
東と西のですか？
そうです、桐生さん。あんたならそれができる。ぜひ東条会を立て直してください。そのために近江連合の力が必要なら私は喜んで力になります。
Okay.
これは
寺田から預かった書状です。あいつは合田会長との杯を願っていました。
寺田。
東条会としては寺田の願いに従い近江との五分の杯を望んでいます。受けていただけますか？
お受けいたします。
That was fast.
そうですか。ではすぐにでも東条会5代目代行の堂島弥生をこちらに向かわせます。
いや、そうはいきまへん。今度はこちらから出向く番です。カムロ町へ行きましょう。
はい、ありがとうございます。
Oh, crap. There we go.
本物の堂島の竜やったんや。桐生は
龍二。
近江と東条が五分の杯やった。8にいや91の間違いとちゃうんか。
お前何しに来た？お前は執行部の人間やない。
あ？何や？
俺を覚えているだろう。
知らん。
お前に5年前はめられた堂島宗平の息子大悟だよ。
知らんちゅうとるやろが。
杯なんて関係ねえ。俺はお前に借りを返さなきゃならねえんだ。
雑魚なんぞ覚えてられるか。邪魔やねん。そこで寝とけ。
どないする気や？
やれ。
何をする？どういうことや？
お前ここどこだと思ってんだ？
何言うてまんねん。
近江連合の本部だぞ。
そないなことは分かっとりまんが。わしらはクーデターを起こしに来とんのやから。
なんだと？
今東条会さんにうちの親父と話させるわけにはいきませんね。杯なんぞ交わしてしもたらわしの計画がパー
お前の狙いはやはり戦争なのか？
そうや。 西と東の大戦争。それこそがわしの狙いや。それともう一つ。
俺か。
その通り。あんたの首や。悪いがその価値があるか試させてもらいますぜ。
And we are fighting. Damn it. Uh-oh. There's going to be more. Ouch.
Oh.
God damn it. Oh, I missed that. Ah. I think there's going to be more.
いや、さすがでんな。昨日よりも迫力あるわ。やっぱこれぐらい強ないとやりがいがないってもんです。何さらすんじゃ悪い。
お前の好きにはさせねえぜ。俺との勝負が先だろうが。桐生さん、悪いがこいつは俺がやる。
Dude, you're going to die. You're going to snap you like a twig.
意外にやるやないか。
Spunky one.
やろう。そないに死にたいんだ。先にやったらやないかいボケ。待てや桐生。
I will need to buy more of the of this toughness.
ほほう。
No, no. Nice. Oh, I can't. What? Thought I could pick up. Nice. And there's more. Nice. Uh-oh. Nice. That is not the one before. You asshole. Again with this. Ouch. No, what? Oh, come on, dude. There you go, you asshole. Dude! Dude! Oh, come on, why I keep doing that? No, I'm close. Oh, no. It's going to be the same. Okay, this is the same. Oh, okay. Ooh, hello. Just throw at him. Nice. 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 Damn it. Nice. That one was good. Oh, come on, I didn't saw you. Any heavy object here? Nope. Dude. I'm waiting way too long. Ooh, noise. Boom. Oh yeah, this was nice. God damn it. Why I can't move away so fast? Jesus Christ, god damn it. Bonk. Just a second, please. Nice. I think I rescued him.
桐生さん、息子の失態、あんたに助けていただくとはお詫びのしようもありまへん。
東条も近江も関係ありません。お気になさらず。しっかりしろ。
桐生さん、やっぱあの男ただもんじゃねえ。
Told you he was going to break in like a
勝負は
twig.
まだついとらんやろうが。
大吾、お前は合田会長を連れて東条会へ行け。
そいつとの蹴りは俺が。
今合田会長が東条会と杯を交わす方が先決だ。それにお前をここで死なすわけにはいかない。
けどこのままじゃ。
ここは俺の言う通りにしろ。
分かった。やっと二人きりになれたの。
会長は東条会が預かる。この杯に絶対に邪魔はさせねえ。
まあええ。あんたを倒して奪い返しゃええだけの話。
やってみるか。
ああ、本物の竜はどっちか。決着つけようやないか。
God damn it. Boss fight.
ここがあんたの墓場や。
I mean, the first of the boss fights, I predict. He's strong, yep. Uh-oh, ouch. Oh, god damn. Any bamboo sticks? Oh, here. Ouch. God damn it. Nice. Good time. Of course he's boosted now. And I missed him. Great! Anything else here? Jesus! Oh, come on! Are you serious? Oh, inventory.
なんという味だ。いい味だ。ほほう。
See, that is here. damn it. I didn't hit him, not even once. Oh, come on, seriously. How not blocked into him? Damn it. Feel the heat! Nice. Nice. And that's the power of the dragon, man.
俺は対等じゃねえ勝負は嫌いなんだ。何やと。お前は大悟とやり合った。あいつは強い。まともな状態じゃねえはずだ。どっちかが死ぬまで勝負は終わらへんわ。くそげ、覚えとけ。勝負はまだ終わっとらんで。
Obviously. And that's her.
本部内の全員連行や。はい。桐生一馬さんですね。
そうだ。
府警4課の佐山薫です。あなたを傷害の現行犯で逮捕します。
Okay. That is interesting. They're under arrest. Chapter 4, The Four Kings of Home. That is so fast, come on, don't have any time to read.
Oh, what about that?
失礼ですが、伊達刑事ですか？
あ？まあそうだが。
やっぱりそうでしたか。私、伊達刑事のファンなんです。フ
ァン？どういうことだ
？1年前の事件で本庁の命令も聞かずに単独捜査。ついには神宮のマネーロンダリングの真相を暴いた伝説の刑事さんだって噂有名なんですよ。
ちょっと待て。事件を解決したのは俺じゃない。それに今はデカでもないんだぞ。
知ってます。事件後刑事を自ら辞職、辞表をカムロ署署長に投げつけた後一発殴ったって話も聞いてますよ。
まったくどうなってんだか。
伝説の刑事。カムロ町で誓った極道との友情、人気者じゃねえか。
あ、河原警部補。
お嬢ちゃん、こういった提案に憧れるってのは良くない傾向だな。本庁勤務ならもっと真面目なキャリア組の連中を持ち上げといた方が身のためだな。
鬼瓦、あんたどうしてここに？
知らなかったか。俺は今公安所属のデカなんだ。
あれだけ銃をぶっ放していた男が公安のデカか。ふざけた話だ。
人聞きの悪いこと言うな。もう昔の話じゃねえか。
俺にとっちゃ今でも昨日のことのように思い出すぜ。 疑者を殺されたのがそんなにトラウマになったのか。
まあな。でも今はもう関係ねえ。あんたと会うことももうないはずだ。
待てよ、それがそうもいかねえんだ。
あ？
お前須藤に呼ばれてきたんだろ。奴が待ってる。一緒に来い。
地下3階か。随分とおかしな場所に連れてくんだな。
不安か。
まあな。何しろここは良くない噂ばかり流れていたからな。
地下3階13号資料室。警視庁は風の間ってやつか。
なあ、不祥事の間とも言われてた。
He's back.
連れてきたぜ。
伊達さん、わざわざご足労いただいて申し訳ありません。
ああ。
紹介します。こちら公安部外事二課課長の倉橋警視正です。
伊達さんの噂は金がね。倉橋です。
公安二課。どうしてアジア専門の公安二課がここに？
実は昨日も伊達さんに連絡したように、今我々4課は近江連合の動きを追っています。
ああ、寺田が殺された一件だろ。
はい。ですが裏に海外、特に中国韓国系の組織が絡んでいるのではないかと。
海外マフィアってことか。
実は私たち2課は1年ほど前からアジア系マフィアの調査を進めてまして、近々何か大きな動きがあるという情報を掴んでいましてね。予想はしてたんですよ。こんな事件が起こるんじゃないかってことを。
なんだって？
私は倉橋課長から内々に要請を受けまして、数週間前からカムロ町の様子を探っていました。すると
爆発は起こった。
そうです。予想は的中してしまったわけです。
だがそれが4課のお前と何の関係があるんだ？
5代目近江連合直参合流会2代目会長合田隆二という男です。
合田隆二。
寺田殺害を実行したと思われる近江連合の実力者です。
この男はどうした？
実はその合田が爆発をほのめかす電話をしていたとの情報がありまして。
これだけは言うとくが、わしとあんたらは仲間やない。カムロ町を火の海にする目的が一緒なだけや。ことが終わったら赤の他人分かっとるな。
はあ、まあ期待していてくれ。
Oh, it's that dude that was there.
この関西弁の男が合田隆二本人と思われます。
なるほど。じゃあ4課と2課はこのもう一人の男が何者なのかを探ってるのか？
そうです。この男の正体を探り出し、近江連合とつながっている組織を明らかにするのが狙いです。
会話の場所は？
全てのノイズを除去してみましたが、場所の特定までには至ってません。
で、俺じゃなきゃできない任務ってのは何なんだ？
実は伊達さんにはこの男に近づいていただきたいと思いまして。
え？こいつは？
そうです。伊達さんもよくご存知の男です。カムロ町でスターダストというホストクラブを経営する男、源氏名和樹です。
どうして和樹を？
実は半年ほど前、一度だけ合田隆二がカムロ町にやってきたことがありまして、その時接触したのが和樹なんです。
だがそれだけで？
それだけじゃないんです。彼には和樹という名前の他に別の本名がありまして。
本名？
鑑真宇。彼はれっきとした韓国人なんです。
伊達さんにはそれとなく和樹に近づいて揺さぶりをかけてほしいんです。彼が韓国組織の構成員なのかどうか、それを探ってみてください。
あなたと彼の間には一 1年前の事件で培った信用があります。これはあなたにしかできない任務なんですよ。
Like I said, they called him back to this job.
俺だけどこへ連れてくんだ。おい、聞いてんのか？
ここまで来ればもう大丈夫だわ。
どういうことだ？
傷害罪は表向きの口実。あなたの身辺保護を頼まれたのよ。
身辺保護？
逃げようとしたら即座に逮捕するわ。
Oh, hello. Oh, hello.
どこを撃たれた？
大したことないわ。
弾丸が貫通してない。このままじゃ危険だ。おい、近くの病院はどこだ？
蒼天堀。
何？
蒼天堀にある葵っていうスナックへ。
She's not dead. She's not dead from that bullet thing. But I was kind of not that fun fast. No clue where it is. Oh, it's done. Oh, it's showing. Lol, okay. Sorry, no time. Bye.
Anta あんた誰や？
桐生というものだが。
は、ちょこちょこ担当変えやがってほんまに。そんなようなことしたかてな。払えんもんは払えんよ。
え？
あんたみかじめ取りなんちゃうん？
佐山薫って女知ってるな。
薫が？どないしたん？
怪我をしてる。
どこにおるんや？
車に待たせてある。
はよ連れてこんかいな。
Okay. Can we not? Oh, hello. Carry her as a this is a smooth dash around running computer also. But if you will be stopping me... over here. Phew. Think she's the doctor. Think. Sure, I'm just being waiting here. Check vacuum fuel. Okay, I guess there's time for... Where am I? Okay, there. Time for some side quests now. Oh, sorry about that, friend. You alright? Fine, thank you. Got it here. Maybe you're gonna have to check out just in case. There's a little something to cover your doctor's visit.
Yeah.
Don't need to go to the doctor, fine. Don't be sticking in the mud. Consider a compensation for bumping into so generous. See, just take it. Makes me good onto the arm candy. By the way, my name is Shigeru Katema. So, oh Jesus Christ, what I can call you? Kiryu-han, huh? Well, if you start feeling pain after the fact, just come and find me. I will carry all your doctor's fee, no problem. We'll take it. Let's see how about an arcade. I'm feeling going to free runs with your fighter. Tell if you beat me, I'll give you some spending money. Is it pretty well off? Okay. Look at one here. Ow, I think my rib is broken, man. Hold on. We hardly nudge each other. Hey, that's fancy pin on your lap. You government man? You probably worth some serious cash. Fancy suit, nice hair. You can spare a couple of G for my hospital bill. Okay, there's that. A guy is going to battle in the classic scam. Maybe I should step in. Intervene. I think you have quite enough. Who the hell are you? I'm just trying to get what I deserve from a title of government fat cat here. You wanna help him pay his share? I would have it to beat out of that. So much about the rip then. Thugs, or just one thug. Nice. Not a problem. Still want that money? I'm good. Later. Bye bye! We have him quite in a conundrum if you haven't come along. You have done country a favor. This is a council's sake. National diet. And I meet that side. I ate. Here in the cycle business, but it's to be Root Street Punks. It's a university issue. Well said, sir. Give this man a copy. My rest. What's this? A copy of Council's Aching Opus. You unleash it. Ah, okay. It's a splendid work of the esteemed council to show worth, but there is more like to life to be trappings of great wealth. Be flattering me. He stores this book with 200 is fantastic, but thank you, your kindness, I can kindly a side coffee future. Much apologies, I know it's a little much. No need to be modest, council. Any man would feel blessed to have a wisdom contained. You unleash trust in his hands. Okay, hope we cross again. Someday. You will have to tell me what you think. This is to read myself. Not a single original thought here. It's all just common sense. So I have stuff. Blah. Will people buy into this garbage? I guess so. So there's blue and there's so those are continuations. Probably I can go here. Check some lockers here. Ooh, heard something. Well, I guess I can go into the buildings now. Alright, alright, alright. What? Hey, it's Daigo. We're okay. Chairman, gonna see we mechanic with a total we'll let you buy a car. Are putting up now. Yeah, I will make it, but I'm not bit like a truck like you, but I can still take that much. Hey, good to know. This ride's in your hands now. Yeah, I know, later that. Okay. We need to go and buy some of those, not potions, but yeah, those HP boosts. Where are they? Here. Sorry. Sorry.
いらっしゃいませ。ありがとうございました。
There we go. Is it here? Or is it nearby? This is not the right one. Looks like it's nearby. It's a ghost. What? Who's calling me? It's me. Ah. Hello. Calm down, find a mess doing this job. Oh, she's snapping. That's good. Anyway, don't bother her, but do you think we could pick up some bandages? I'm out of it. Looking that I'm nearby. Where I need to go? I need to go here? Shot bar. I think? Yes, it is. Are you okay? My head. Itching like a mofo. That I have been doing baits for a month. That's probably not healthy. Come on, don't leave me hanging. Give me a witty comeback. There is anger. Don't do that on the command. Sorry, comedy is in my thing, and I wasn't expecting to put it on the spot. See ya later. Wait, man. I'm talking about you. I'm saying it's not fun. That's why I can get any good comebacks out of the people. My sadness are cow dung. That's real honest of ya. Anywho, sorry to get all up in your business about menus. Nimamizawa. Jesus Christ, I'm kidding. Listen, Kiryu-san. Me and my old buddy of mine used to be a part of knee slapping comedy duo called Mars Fighters. Doubt you heard of us. The act never got off the ground. It's a comedy style called Anzai, where I played the funny guy and my bad guy was the straight man. Never heard of that. Oh, never heard of that. Oh, okay. But that's the reason I'm so down. You see, Grand Prix of Gags, it's right around the corner. But my body up and quit me on the other day. Maybe it's a cops will him off. So hard to read. These are all just jokes. You're not funny, huh? I tossed my life aside for a career in comedy. Dreamed of being a star act since I cracked my first spun. But my partner is gone. I don't think I've got the chops for my to go solo. My setups are garbage. Is this what the rock the bottom feels like? Yeah, kinda. Can't give up. I can still make my big break. I just need a new straight man for my act. But that's sick, Kirsan. How about my partner with me? Oh, that's a good joke. Haha, a joke, yeah. Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I will stick around here and wet my whistle a bit longer. That sounds bad. Wet my whistle. Oh, you think it's okay to glare like a guy like that? Well, I wasn't glaring at anyone. I saw those flowered ass eyebrows. Don't think wearing this is going to calm down. Magic things. Oh, and you're making fun of me. Ain't going to stand for this. You're probably going to kiss my fist. Okay, thugs, I guess. There we go. You bastard. Wait. Put your jets, no more. Hey. Is that Kitagawa? What did you call him? Kiryu-san, this is the guy, my ex-partner. Kitagawa. From the Mars Fighters. Minamizawa? The hell got into Kitagawa. Okay, he's running away. Kiryu-san. I'm slower than molasses going up here. You mind chasing that fool down for me? Seriously, fine. Okay, slow down. Don't hurt me. Mind? You're talking about... I'm too lazy to read this. It's hot. It's hot here. Your setup suck harder than a cheap hooker. Lol. Damn it. Can't say the end result. And like comebacks were much better without the last, but maybe once every show. Didn't think we were cut for the comedy, so that's why I quit. Running out like acting like Yakuza. After I quit, I found no sense sipping iced tea in a manga cafe, trying to find some meaning in my life. Iced tea and manga? What the hell? So I read epic story about manly Yakuza. I finished reading and just felt empty, you know. But maybe I will become Yakuza myself. A story never had to end. Okay? You're dumb as a sack of bricks. That's in the reason you turn life to the prime. Wake up. Ouch, man, don't hit me like that. You will ruin the face made for showbiz. More like a face for mugshots. You're gone and knocked up by Tao P, Tao Pe, out of the place. Wait, you're what? You know? It feels like we never broke up. It just feels like you did back when we were on the stage. Hey, hold up. Ain't this good? Wait, what did you Nah, I'm talking about this dynamic. And I feel it actually, I'm playing the funny guy and you're straight man. You're right. You're trying to make me funny guy, but it doesn't. You're way better than me. So you are the straight man. Those some ferocious comebacks, by the way. You can only piece my hair coming back, lol. And then here, that's confidence body. Your heart is lost cause. Hey, yeah, they're come back, yay. Sorry, man. How can I change? We're getting life choices. You know, they're not that bad. No, they're not. I think I'm going to end up here getting hot and I need to go to the shower. It's not hot, it's like... it's like humidity, yeah. We have humid place here. But yeah, this was fun. How did it go out? Oh, under settings. Right. Oh yeah, like this. Why? Why don't have easy quit way? Sugar. Alrighty then. So yeah, thanks for being here, appreciate it. Thanks to Shikaka. Thank you. And welcome back from the vacations. So yeah, the next, thanks to others who joined, right? So the next one is going to be on Wednesday, not on Wednesday, today's Wednesday. On Friday, I need to check how can I get a better streaming experience. I think I cannot stream and record at once, so probably will boost up the streaming thingy. We'll see. So yeah, Friday. I wish you a nice day and have fun. Bye bye!